Hello and welcome to the Scramble. Today we discuss UNLV's government CSUN, the debate that was set to occur on April 9th, and hear from UNLV's current student body president, Christopher Royce. I'm Sarah Coker and this is the Scramble. A debate between two running parties from UNLV's student government was set to take place on Monday, April 9th. However, this debate had to be turned into a town hall meeting after the party called the Resistance had to drop out last minute. Here are some of the highlights of that meeting.
Welcome. Thank you all for coming to the 2018 CSUN Executive General Board debate. Tonight that we have only 3 of the 6 candidates here this evening. Unfortunately, the Resistance ticket declined to participate in the event this evening.
Please lay out the case for your administrative ability, including your familiarity with the Nevada Revised Statutes, open meeting laws, and Robert's Rules of Order.
Public service means something different to everybody. I know we all gotten into public service for different reasons. And I think those reasons should be allowed to kind of flourish and kind of be fostered.
The hardest part of leadership is thinking that, hey, I know what the students need, but oftentimes people don't, and that's okay. You're not supposed to be a perfect person. You're supposed to learn through the process of your position. And I feel like I've learned a lot, and I still have a lot to learn. But expanding on that and making sure that students are being out there and being involved and going to our events and getting them more involved with the Las Vegas community as well. And giving them more access to scholarships, which I think is the hardest thing for many students to find, especially here at UNLV and with nonprofits and their own scholarships.
First things that I noticed when I first became student body president was the amount of difficulty it requires to be able to embrace and see everyone's different point of view. For us to say that we are the most diverse school in the nation is simply not enough. And, it's in so many more ways than you just might traditionally think. I mean, we have non-traditional students here. We have one of the largest veteran populations in the United States here at this university. And we have students from all countries around the world, all walks of life, all socioeconomic statuses. And so I think that with a diverse population of students, it requires a diverse engagement of students. Not everyone has the same access to resources. Not everyone wants to be contacted via social media. Not everyone wants to be contacted via email. So I think that it requires a very multilateral approach in making sure that we are reaching students where they are. I think also one of the harder things.
We reached out to the Resistance team for an appearance on the show or any comments. The party chose to not comment. Now we are joined with UNLV's current student body president, Christopher Royce. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
One of the first things that I want to start off with is one of the mission statements that you mentioned in an email that goes to all students and in the town hall meeting is that student safety is a large concern for you. Just how important is student safety?
Well, I mean, I think it's not just important, it's an expectation that students should all have at UNLV. I've worked tirelessly throughout my term to ensure that campus safety is brought up as a real topic of discussion, not only with university officials, but with the administration, the state's officials. So I think it's really important that we make that a strong topic of discussion. I mean, it's an expectation, not just an issue.
Is UNLV being an open campus a concern for you?
Well, I mean, we are a public university, and I think that some of our resources should be available to the public. However, we need to recognize that with an open university comes some challenges that perhaps private universities might not face. And I think that is, having students being aware of the environment around them, but also making sure that we are putting in every single possible measure that we can to make sure that students are safe on an open campus.
So what needs to be changed, and what have you been doing in order to ensure campus safety?
That is a loaded question. Well, so there's a lot of things that need to be changed on campus. I think that it starts not only with informing students and giving them the opportunity to be able to learn, not only to protect themselves, but more importantly, it's important that we look at how our current security management systems work. There are 3 different ways to enter any kind of building at this university. We have traditional lock and key methods, we have the proximity cards, and you also have the rebel cards that you can use to access the student union. So with that, there's an issue where there's a disparate access of ease of access to buildings. Another one of the things that I find really important is making sure that we are addressing the issue of emergency notifications, especially with the new emergency phones that we've had gone up, thanks to one of our senators, Samantha Bivens. In the past, she had made a real strong push for those. We want to make sure that the university is communicating with students about emergencies and doing it in an effective and very punctual manner.
So you mentioned the new emergency phones. There's a new app, right? The Rebel Safety app that
Right.
you guys have been using. Has that been effective? Have people been using that?
Yeah, so there's all kinds of uses for it. You can also request a security officer to walk you or drive you to your car, depending on what their circumstances are. There are also ways to report a tip anonymously, and you can call dispatch, UNLV Police Services directly. You can get push notifications about things happening on campus. And there's also a social media feed on it that UNLV Police Services actually updates.
So I know the students do get notified when an event occurs on campus or even somewhat near campus. Have there been a decrease in, attacks like around campus? Have the numbers been proving this?
Well, I think that we are seeing more reports now because people are more aware of what's going on. In the past, to be quite frank, I don't believe that the university was in compliance with Jean Cleary Act. And when I went to a Board of Regents meeting last June, I made that a point that that students aren't aware of what's happening on campus. And so I don't think that crime has particularly changed, but there's been a very different tune to which the university is walking, and it is that they are allocating more resources towards police patrols, security services, and they are also investing millions of dollars now in safety protocols and different resources for students.
So it is definitely important that students know what's happening on campus, and student engagement is a huge thing. I mean, recently, just that package that we saw earlier, you mentioned, some students don't really know what's going on. Is student engagement something you want to focus on, or are you guys okay with people not somewhat knowing?
No, I don't think that our current levels of student engagement are sufficient. I think that us having a commuter campus and having a lot of students coming from off campus and then coming here and going to class and then leaving and going to work and going home and do homework. I mean, that's what I did for 3 years. And I think that it's a serious challenge to reach people. So I think it starts with changing the way the university communicates with students so that we can have a more connected campus. One of the things that I'd like to see happen and that I will push for if elected is making sure that the university actually puts all of its eggs into one proverbial basket with an app. So you can have a one-stop shop where we have the current UNLV mobile app where you can check all your schedules and all those things, but we want to be able to have push notifications and all kinds of different interactive elements of that app so that students can actually feel as if someone's paying attention to their needs.
For students who agree with that and want the same thing, I mean, at that town hall meeting, there was probably less than 20 students. Do you think if more people had gone to, or more people do go to these meetings and events and whoever is elected, do you think that will help push the agenda, help UNLV kind of realize that other people do want that?
Yeah, I've noticed that the polls that I actually send out to the student body have been effective in oftentimes garnering opinions from students. I think that, honestly, I don't think a whole lot of students find debates to be terribly interesting, just because, if for those, you can also watch it online. I think we need to have more people on the ground informing students of what's happening, and that's one of the things that I'd really like to see change, is getting people out there to actually tell students that we're having a debate or we're having X, Y, or Z event.
And for students who disagree, for people who don't want, the same things you want, we do have like a free public speech walkway where people can kind of spread their opinions. We've mentioned on the show before political ideology on campus.
Right.
Do you think that we are kind of a too liberal environment? Do you think we should be pushing for more conservative views or be more accepting of it? Do we represent all students?
Well, I think that's a really good topic to bring up. I think that there's a lot of students who feel like they're left out of the conversation no matter what side of the political spectrum they're on. And I've always been a champion of free speech and people sharing their opinions and their ideas. And I think that no matter who you are, you should feel safe and comfortable sharing your opinions, as long as you're obviously not advocating for violence against others or hate against others. I think that you should be free to express your ideas and your opinions and your ideologies no matter who you are.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that the current budget that the CSUN has represents all the students' needs?
I think that the current budget, it doesn't go far enough. I think that The first issue being that there's only so much money available that's collected to serve the entire student body of nearly 28,000 people. So $1.2 million does a lot, but it doesn't go far enough. I think that we've allocated more money towards student organizations so that they have more access to the resources like that, because they do hold events on campus for other students as well. And I think that we're looking at saving more money administratively and cutting costs by having smaller teams that are more agile. And in doing so, we can put more of that money towards civic engagement, getting students registered to vote no matter who they want to vote for, getting students informed about the issues, and giving people the opportunity to actually share their voice.
Well, that is our time. Thank you to UNLV Student Body President Chris Royce for the interview. We'll be right back with a discussion on what UNLV students think about CSUN. Thank you guys for staying with us. I'm joined by UNLV journalism sophomore Errol Porter and UNLV journalism student Ray Verderamo. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with you, Errol. About CSUN, my first basic question would be, what do you know about CSUN?
Honestly, not very much. I only know what my brother would tell me when he was going to college, when he was the student body president of GBC. But I can't remember any of that, so not a lot.
Ray, do you know a lot about CSUN?
I know that every once in a blue moon I might get an email from them, and I just kind of accept, okay, that's CSUN. I have absolutely no idea.
Trash.
Do you think that that you should be reaching out to know more about them, or do you think that's really the job of the student government?
I think they can only do so much what they can. I think they should reach out as much as they can. As far as the reciprocation, that depends on the student themselves and doing it. Because they send the emails, I'm the one who puts it in the trash. When I could, actually look at it and go to CSUN events or something, but.
And Ray, what do you think you can do to learn more about it, or is it your job?
It's not my job, but however, it is. I do believe that it is the school and the school government job to educate me on, as a student, to know what affects me. If there is an entity that makes decisions on my future, they better tell me what it is. They need to tell me what it is. If you're sending me emails, I have the right to know why. I have the right to know what significance you have. It's kind of like telling me, charging me for tuition and not telling me what the fees are. I have the right to know.
So in our tuition, $30 goes to CSUN from our tuition. Do you know where that goes?
It goes to CSUN, and CSUN could be Mars. It could be towards costumes. It could be towards studying the great star that we live under. For all I know, I have no idea, and I kind of find that a little offensive.
Do you know?
If it goes toward costumes, I'm all for it.
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're all for garb. I mean, I'm totally cool with that. It's the mystery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Errol, I'm going to ask you one more question. Do you have any concerns with CSUN student engagement? Really, do you think that there are solutions that could, that they could do? I mean, you said that they can only do so much by reaching out, but should they be, emails, that's one thing, but should they be more readily available on campus, or what do you think about that?
No, I think that'd be great, and I think pretty much every organization on campus could do more for their organization. But I keep going back to what I said before, where it depends on the student. Like, Ray wants to know the answers, but she wants to know. Some students just don't care. So, and that's up to the student to ask and try to, if CSUN wants to educate people, it's up to the student to listen and ask questions.
Well, yeah, sort of, kind of, not really. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think it should be the choice of the student to be able to, if the information is out there, then the student has a choice of either accepting that information or trashing that information. But it should still be available.
Yeah, well, if they refuse to answer a question, then that's a different issue entirely. But as far as putting it out there initially and putting out that you can ask questions, which I don't know if they do or not, I think they do that just fine.
Okay.
Do you guys think that the campus would be better if we actually focused on it more? I mean, we have a lot of people, especially if you live in Vegas. I don't know if you guys grew up in Vegas, but one of the common stereotypes is UNLV is referred to as University of Never Leaving Las Vegas. Do you think that people would be more, the campus would be better, people would recognize the better facilities that we have if that we focus more on CSUN, where that money's going, and how much effort or lack thereof that they put into actually making the campus a better place?
Well, we can't really determine that unless we know what it is. I don't know if it'll benefit the city or benefit us. I have no idea. You know, it really depends on what exactly they do and what their focus is. As for engagement itself, I think the school does a pretty good job. You know, we have Student Engagement Day. There is a website where you can see, I think we have something like 150 clubs, and we have, I don't know how many fraternities and sororities that we have. I don't know the vast of the Greek life, but I do know that information is out. As a matter of fact, I was just inducted into the National Society of Leadership and Success on Saturday. So thank you. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. So thank you. So, but the thing is, I wouldn't have known what that was. I wouldn't even know that was an option if the school did not reach out to me. So I think it does a fairly good job. The problem is the upkeep, because it's run by students, and students have jobs, and students have lives, and students have homework, and students have, they're already, so of course, there are some students who, want to take on as much as they can and do as much as they can and engage, but so many times we bite off more than we can chew. So.
Well, I want to present the same question to you, really. We already talked about solutions and things like that, but do you think that if they were, would you personally, I mean, we can talk about the vast general, campus life if they all do it, but what really matters is how the campus pertains to you. Would you personally be more involved in clubs and communities and join, leadership societies if you knew about it?
Yeah, I would think so. That's easy to say. I'm lazy. But yeah, if I really knew about it and if I was interested in it, I'd definitely do it, yeah.
Well, yesterday there was a town hall meeting where we got to go there and we got to interview some of the guys. Yesterday we interviewed the vice president, the current UNLV student vice president, and we got a clip of him talking about a database he's going to be working on for a scholarship. So I want to present that to you guys right now.
Okay.
Cool.
It's a database of different scholarships that UNLV provides, different colleges provide, as well as the departments and the president's office, as well as the Las Vegas community itself. That requires nonprofit work, Clark County scholarships work, and one thing that I've really focused on is to build that relationship with the Public Education Foundation, who does the same thing for CCSD high school students. But however, I've been working with them to try to expand it where it's also like college students as well. I've been collecting all these scholarships, and I have roughly 200 scholarships already made for this next year, which we are going to start having it come out soon.
Do either of you guys actually use scholarships, first off?
I have a very hard time finding one that fits me because, first of all, I'm non-traditional. And I'm also in a curriculum that's, we are in a curriculum that's not particularly popular with people of my demographic. I am also single, and I am also, I'm a lot of exceptions. So most of the scholarships out there are either for women in general, and they're very limited, or they're for journalism students who are freshmen and just leaving their house, or they're in the traditional. But I absolutely would if there were more available to me. And the scholarships and the grants that are for non-traditional students are, I don't, I'm not in the right curriculum. It's usually for biology or engineering or the sciences or education. So.
Do you see the same struggles, Errol?
No, because in that sense, I'm pretty basic and traditional. in pretty much all
You're
cases.
a lot of things, but you ain't basic.
Oh, thank you. Actually.
Would you be
You're
using?
not no frills, you know.
Yeah. And as far as your thing being single, I mean, we can fix that. I mean, there's a lot of cameramen here.
Oh, you say that to all
Would
the
you
girls.
guys, or would you specifically, since I know you said it's a hard time finding one, would you specifically be using that database if it was available to you to find more that pertain to you? I mean, you said you don't have trouble finding them, but do you have them now? Are you utilizing scholarships now?
I do have scholarships now, and they help out a lot. And I definitely need to look up more and get more. And it would be a huge help if it would be that available like that, where it's just a list of scholarships. That'd be great.
Do you think there should be solutions to help students who aren't or non-traditional, kind of like you, or I mean, Ray in the sense, but students who aren't traditional? Are there other options, solutions to that?
I like to think there are. There have to be. I don't know.
Well, there is Trio, and they helped me a lot, getting myself, working on my application and making sure that, I had all my ducks in a row before I applied. So they were great, and they're available for, non-traditional students, and that even includes, students who are in the process of becoming citizens, and so they work with a wonderful demographic. So I know there's Trio, and I do know that there's a couple of others, but I can't remember the names right now. So they're out there. But the thing is, I think it goes back to your original question of communication. There needs to be more communication about all these amazing resources that UNLV actually has. And so many people, run around and have absolutely no idea that they can get free healthcare by going to the clinic, or they have no idea that if they're having one of those really human days where they're on the brink of homicide and they're about to pull their hair out, they could just go and talk to somebody. A lot of people don't know that, and I think there needs to be a lot more engagement on those fronts.
Well, I do want to move on to the next topic. We also spoke with Christopher Royce, the current UNLV student body president, and he talked a little bit about campus clubs and how they're funded.
But the way student organization finance works, our Ways and Means Committee has worked tirelessly to make sure that they are perfecting the process of funding student organizations. And at the beginning of this term, I had set the student organization funding level to be higher than it was in the past, which was $285,000 this year. And we reallocated even more money to bring that number up to $305,000 really. Students face an issue where when they receive student organization funding, they will not receive checks for sometimes up to 3 to 4 weeks. And I think that for us as a university to be able to foster that student engagement, it does not make sense to also have university money, state money, in a private bank account outside of the university, which is how it currently works. And so that makes it very difficult for UNLV as an institution to track where that money goes. And it just doesn't make sense to basically not have any kind of ability to recognize where that money is after it's left the university bank accounts.
I want to bring this question to you, Errol. Christopher Royce, he makes a really good point that the money is going to a private bank. Did you know that, and how do you feel about that?
I didn't know that. And I don't like that at all, the fact that we really can't track it. That's kind of frightening and disconcerting, that we have no idea where it's going.
From what you know about CSUN, which you said was pretty little, can you even trust that the money is going to things that they say there if there's no documentation?
Technically, no, you can hope. No, if there's really no way to figure out, then I can't. You can just cross your fingers and hope that it's going towards something important for the university or something, but yeah, there's no way of knowing. I don't know. Should the
university be taking responsibility for this? Open question to both you guys. Who can we place the responsibility on if we have no documentation of where that money's been going?
Oh, well, it can't lie on the students. It's
No.
not my job to be, Columbo and chase everybody down. And nor do I think that any student should have to chase after the Treasury and the fiscal, the financial officers to figure out where our money is coming from. or where it's going. I definitely think there absolutely needs to be more accountability. And to be honest with you, if I was, sitting on a higher chair, if you know what I mean, I would be a little disturbed about this too, because this reflects on the leadership. I mean, if, to have any integrity in question, it's going to affect the community, it's going to affect future students, and it's going to affect graduation rates, and it's going to affect future funding. So they need to get on the stick. They need to get on this.
Last question to both you guys. I'll start with you, Errol. Basically, in short, what can they do? Should they come out and kind of just admit it and be like, hey, we're sorry, like we'll do better? Or what really is the solution from coming back from this and gaining our trust?
I think that'd probably be the start of it, would be apologizing, recognizing that just isn't right. Having untracked money going to, could be anything, could be the president's pool or something in his house. So that'd be the first bit. And then I think the next bit would just be taking responsibility, like actually repairing the thing. Because it is the responsibility, like Ray said. It's totally theirs, it's not ours. It takes voices for them to accept that responsibility, but that's all theirs, and they need to take it.
Well, that is our time. Thank you to Ray and Errol for coming on the show. If you want to stay up to date with us, follow us on Twitter and Facebook at UNLV The Scramble. As always, my name is Sarah Coker. Thank you and see you again.